Welcome to Meg Talks, the Move with Meg podcast. I'm Megan Kerrigan, and I will be sharing ideas on how you can become a more consistent and confident dancer that understands your body and mind. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Meg Talks. It is episode 11 today of our Mindset Matters, and today we are going to be talking about the pros of Prelim. So Annabelle is with me, of course, for this mini-series.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Yeah, really good. Sun is out and shining in Liverpool, so it puts me in a good mood.
Yeah, it's been so nice and sunny while we've been recording this today, and over the last weekend, the last couple of days, it's just been so nice, hasn't it? And it
it's been gorgeous.
Changes your mood so much. So yeah, we've been chatting about this loads, really, haven't we? I always have this conversation with dancers, and we sort of speak about it. You probably talk about it a lot as well from a mindset perspective.
Yeah.
Basically, the pros of Prelim now. It's really a bit more of a heart-to-heart, this. It's about helping you to understand where you're at, what these levels and the reasons for having these levels in Irish dancing. And I know that it's Prelim in CLRG. I think they call it Pre-Open in Kogel. I'm not really sure too much about the other organisations, what they call them. But I think Pre-Open is kind of the wording that I've heard quite a lot.
Yeah, I've heard that before as well. So I think a few organisations might use that as well.
Use that
But if
terminology.
we're wrong,
Yeah.
let us know, because we want to learn. So,
But if you think about it, it's a lot easier to say than preliminary.
well, yeah, definitely.
Open is a lot easier to say than preliminary. So well done, you guys, for calling it that instead of preliminary championship. So whether you're actually a dancer currently in Prelim or Pre-Open, or you're a parent of a dancer that's in that, this episode's basically for you, or even a teacher that's has dancers within these levels. I think working through the levels is obviously something we thrive and we want to do, and it's something that as dancers is kind of what you do the minute you get into competition. Is you know your level, you know where you want to get, you know where your friends are, and you're sort of aiming to get out of that level, or at least to dance out of that level. That's kind of the whole thing, isn't it? That's the start of this competition element for younger dancers.
Yeah, and it's so natural, isn't it? You just want to keep moving up the levels.
Of course. So we want to talk about why Prelim and Pre-Open is such a great thing for you, but also touch upon some of the things that maybe you have come across as a Prelim dancer or someone that has moved just recently out of Prelim. Some of the pros, some of the cons, some of the different ways to change how you look at it and change how you look at your journey, basically. Also, quickly throwing it in there, if you are a dance parent that's listening, thinking that you want to be able to support your dancer more, we have got the free Facebook group, which you will definitely want to be a part of, especially if you hear what we talk about within this. It's a really nice supportive group with dance parents. They tend to support each other. We obviously facilitate the conversation sometimes, but dance parents go in there, they ask questions, and it's really nice to see the other parents that have been through that or have dancers at different levels and stages or ages even, supporting and giving their advice or giving it from their perspective. As much as we like to answer and give our support, we haven't been dance parents. So it's nice to see the support coming from all different angles and different opinions and viewpoints and experiences as well. So we will pop the link to that in the show notes. So if you're a dance parent, you do want to be in that Facebook group. I'm telling you. So let's start with the very obvious. Why do dancers want to leave Prelim so badly? They're the minute they're in there, they're oh, the aim is I need to get out of Prelim.
Yeah,
What's
literally.
that about, do you think?
I think one, it's part of, as we said before, it's that natural, wanting to progress, all the way through the ranks. And I think because after Open, you can't go any further, it's almost like they're desperate to reach that pinnacle point. And I think sometimes people think, oh, once I reach Open, that's it, I've made it. And it's not as easy as that at all. It's not as easy as that. But again, as we said, it is kind of ingrained into people because that is how our competitions are set up. And I'd never thought of it that way, actually, until you've just said that. That's kind of what you learn from your first mesh, whether you're 4 or 14. That is kind
Yeah.
of what you learn straight away is, you know, we've got to keep pushing to move up, to move up, to move up. So it's very
Yes.
understandable, but I definitely think there's something about prelim that as soon as people get in there, it's like it's some kind of bear trap, and they straight away want to jump straight out of it. They become like super desperate, and the more desperate you become, the more pressure they put on themselves, the less they actually perform and enjoy dancing,
Yeah.
and it becomes this bit of a cycle.
And I think the thing to remember is, I think the wording of pre-open makes it feel like it's not actually a stage. It's like you're on the outskirts or you're at the door of the Open Championship. Or you're at the door of that top level. It doesn't actually feel like its own stage, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, okay, you sort of go through. Obviously, it's different wording in different organisations and also in Irish and English.
Yeah.
Which the Bungrad and Mungrad and all that, I mean, I pretend to know what I'm talking about, but I really don't.
It confuses me too.
Well, let's say like novice, intermediate, like all of that, novice,
Primary,
primary, intermediate, that's the
intermediate.
way we sort of worked it. They feel like they are their own stages. And I think preliminary or pre-open, I think it just, I don't know what it is about it. It just does feel like it's just like a waiting or a limbo stage rather than like, I'm in prelim, I'm proud to be in prelim.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's such a different.
There is definitely, 100%. And I don't know if that's going to change as the years go on because, you know, when we were younger and dancing, prelim wasn't a thing.
No, it wasn't a thing. Yeah.
It only became like maybe I was probably about 11. I think by the time like people started, this big stage like appeared, everyone was like, what is this like prelim thing that's going on? So I don't know whether that'll change as time goes on. And it becomes more of a stage in its own right. But because there is still people, you know, there's people older than me still dancing, there's teachers our age, whether it's, we've all still got that mentality because
it wasn't there.
it wasn't there. Yeah. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking that. I was just like, it is a bit of a weird stage that, like, yes, you should be proud to be in it.
Yeah, I
like,
don't feel like
yes,
people are.
no, I feel like it's a bit of like, oh, I'm only in prelim. Like, no, you're in prelim. That is better than the dancers in intermediate, in primary, in beginner. And also, it's a really great level to be at where in a lot of feshes and at a lot of competitions, you are competing in the championship too.
Yeah.
So I think like it's a really nice way to be competing at the top level, yes, but also being rewarded at a slightly lower level and being
Yeah.
awarded at a slightly lower level, because otherwise, if we didn't have that, it would feel like such a long, hard slog without seeing progress being in that Open Championship.
And I think that's why they were brought in originally, is because that
Mhm.
jump from intermediate to open is a massive leap. Absolutely massive leap. It was brought in to kind of bridge that gap. But it's so cool that like majors like the All Scotlands do have their own prelim, so you can compete on what is or was when it was in Glasgow, the world stage. Like, you can compete at all these amazing big events, but not be kind of have the pressure or the overwhelm of competing with dancers that are like much higher in stage in their career than you are. You can still compete in your level, but
That's a great.
at like amazing venues.
Yeah, yeah, and it really does give that opportunity to sort of dive a bit deeper into your personal journey and your development and like building that confidence of being on those big stages without the overwhelm of, oh, I'm going to be last, or, you know, that you can strive and push and be confident in your prelim championship, but also be gaining experience and to be gaining all these other things from, like you say, dancing on insane stages, dancing with incredible dancers that are a little bit ahead of you at this point, but what can you learn from that? And it's giving you the opportunity to learn, grow, but also be awarded for where you are right now. And I think that is something that should be celebrated rather than like put down almost. And I do think I've heard dancers myself, oh, I'm only in prelim. Like, no, you're not only in prelim. You're in prelim, be proud, or you're
Yeah.
in pre-open, be proud.
Freedom and proud, hashtag.
Prelim and proud, that's it. And
We'll be getting merch made next.
I think that, like, it's just really important to sort of reframe it in your own mind as, like, this is almost your, like, training stage for open.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's like, okay, I'm not there yet. I'm competing with amongst on the stages in the same competitions as these dancers. I'm seeing this as this is my development. This is my pressure off development to take that next step up to that next level. And I think if we change the way we look at it to be a bit more like that, we're going to be a lot more positive about it. And I think
100%.
that positivity then falls into a really nice, better mindset, better self-confidence, and that all helps to develop your dancing, your performance, and then essentially your results at the end of that. Now, this is why I started this conversation in the first place. This is why this was a topic, because I hear this and I coach dancers through this so often, the same thing over and over. And I'm like, I'm saying this over and over to dancers. We need to talk about it. It is then the shock or the mental impact, the mindset impact of then going from prelim into open. Yes, it's all you've ever wanted. Yes, from the moment you've got into prelim, you've been thinking about this day when you can say, I've won my second championship. I'm off. I've won my second prelim. I am in. Off I go. Then you do your first championship and you're completely disheartened. And I see it happen so much. I try to help dancers prepare their minds for this. It feels like you've been used to being on the podium. You've been used to winning, being second, third, getting a sash, getting a trophy, your name being called out last if it's reverse order or first if it's, you used to being the top of that level, but you had to work to
Then
get there, most likely. And then you move into another higher level. So you're now at the lower end of those results. And the impact that I see that have on dancers and their confidence, even though they know that this is a higher level, and they know consciously that it's a higher level, it's going to be harder, and they probably aren't going to be right up where they were in prelim. They know that as fact. They know that consciously, but subconsciously, I still see it really impact confidence.
yeah,
And
there's a massive, like, I think there's an underlying hope almost that they're so filled with confidence and self-belief and like, oh my goodness, and you know what that feeling's like, I can achieve anything. Like, you know, that big boost of motivation and determination, like, yes, I can do this. I think there is an inner hope in dancers that although you and teachers and parents have gone, look, you know, you're going into a higher level, you can't expect the same. I think there is still a part of them that's a bit like, yeah, but I could still come away with the sash. I could still do this. And it's only when they then experience it that they go, oh, I didn't realize it was that much of a jump.
Yeah.
It was that much of a step up. I think they know it's a step up, but I think they don't quite realize sometimes how big of a step up it is just because they've done quite a lot of competitions, probably being on the same stages and dancing, you know, maybe on stage with these dancers who've just said is a brilliant thing in some ways. But then in other ways, it's like, well, I've been on this stage before. And then when the results came out, I was second and now I'm 18th. And there's some dancers that I go, well, what would you rather, the 18th in championship or the second in the prelim? And it's interesting because the answer didn't always go one way or the other. Some dancers would rather have the second in the prelim, even though they've been
100%.
talking about getting out of there for so long.
And even though they know that 18th in the open is actually a higher place.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? And it's that subconscious that we want to be. And I think this is deep rooted as competitive athletes that we are as Irish dancers. It is that element of, I want to be in that higher place. I want to be winning the trophies and the sashes and the things that are kind of external.
And feel nice.
But deep down, you also know that it's better that you're 18th rather than second, but you still think, oh, I think I'd like to be second because you enjoy that boost that it gives you, that adrenaline hit that it gives you, those endorphins that it releases. So it's trying to find a way to give yourself those same little boosts and bursts of hormones within that new level that you're at. So setting mini goals,
Yeah.
setting yourself goals for each fish.
How you can improve each time. And, there's an additional thing now as well of social media. If you've got a big group photo with your friends, it's much nicer to stand on there with the sash and trophy than it is with the medal around your neck. But as you've just said, like, to get to the championship point, you had to get out of prelim. So you've already achieved something that you weren't achieving a few weeks ago because you didn't have the opportunity to, because you weren't there. So even if we come last place, that's still an achievement than
And
what
it's
you were achieving a
progress.
few weeks ago.
Yeah. And it is progress. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like maybe having something visual. I'm a very visual person, aren't I, Annabelle?
We
You
know.
always laugh, have to get things up visually for me to be able to see them. But like as a parent, maybe like for a younger dancer that might find this more difficult to grasp at a subconscious level, maybe it's almost like not like a star chart, but like something that like has the levels going up to sort of give them something visual to see that they are better now than they were when they were in prelim. So like maybe it is that you have something that's kind of like, like a measure on it when people are growing and they draw on the wall like that. But like, why don't you have like a piece of paper that's got like your beginners at the bottom and then your intermediate, and then as you work up, like maybe a few notes of when that happened, like a growth chart, but so that they can see what they're aiming for and also that they are a level above. So it's a bit more visual. And I think that would help. That would have helped me in that situation. I know everybody learns differently and sees things differently. You know your own dancer and you know your own kid and what would work for them in that. But I do think something like that visually will just help subconsciously. It's like, oh no, but it's that, but opens above. So I am making progress.
Yeah,
You know,
we did something similar in mindset the other week. Actually, it was their homework in terms of like where they are now and then their big goal they were aiming for. So say that's your first trip to Worlds, for example. And then what they drew like in the Wizard of Oz, a yellow brick road. They drew their own yellow brick road from one to the ends and coloured it in. And then we had like milestones along the way. So it might be getting out intermediate. Then it might be going to prelim, going to my first major. Winning my first prelim, getting into open, and they put and then they had a little carrot that they move up their yellow brick road to show that they're getting closer to their big goal. Just like Dorothy picks up the scarecrow and the lion and all that, they were picking up their own little milestones along the way.
Love that.
Yeah, the kids really enjoyed that one actually.
And it's something that you can do as a like really nice fun thing. Even like teachers, this would be really nice to do as a teacher that they take home, and then each time they do get something, they send you a picture of where they've moved their little sticker or their magnet or whatever it is.
Yeah,
along
especially
that
with
road.
like, I know lots of schools have like summer camps, like in the 6 weeks holiday, and they do quite a lot of like creative, like design the dress and all that.
Yeah.
But it'd be a nice one to throw into a summer camp or when you've got time with, maybe younger dancers.
Yeah, really nice actionable step that you can go away and actually put into place as a parent listening to this and as a dancer listening to this. It doesn't have to be that your parent puts, you can do this on your own. You don't need your parents to help you in this, but it's nice if younger dancers, this is facilitated by parents. You have your own prelim story, Annabelle. Would you like to share it?
Yeah, that I do. So I was under 13, I think. Prelim hadn't been around that long. I'd say about 2 years by this point. And I'd spent under 10 qualifying, under 11 qualifying, and then under 12 hadn't qualified and was just absolutely heartbroken. It was a really, really difficult time. I'd lost a lot of confidence across the year from being probably 11 to 12, and then first time not qualifying was really difficult when friends did. And I had a massive, massive hit to my confidence. Bless my teacher, tried everything she could. We took some time away. We revamped my look. We took me out of fashions for a while until, I was feeling more confident, but whatever. everything they tried to do was just not working. And I just kept getting further and further and further down in the championship results. And it was just hitting my confidence more and more and more. So I think, well, obviously privately, my mum and my teacher had a discussion, knowing me very well by that point, just thought we need to do something to help boost our confidence, because if this continues, you know, we're
Where do
now,
you end up?
yeah, we're
where's
about halfway through the under 13 year. It was about June or July. I think they were thinking, if we wanted to get her to qualify this way, she's going to have zero confidence if this continues.
Yeah.
So they entered me. We went to a fashion in London. And at the time, London was like the hardest region to dance in.
Mhm.
Like if you went to London and were like getting in the recall, it was like, oh my goodness, that was like a massive thing. Look, we used to go, oh, going to London. Like it was like such a big thing. We went down to this fashion in London. Mum had entered me in the prelim, and it was one of them where it's like prelim and championship. So no one knew till results time that I was entered in the prelim.
Did you
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did now.
do you remember that conversation?
No, I don't remember the conversation. I think it was probably phrased, worded in a very correct way. So rather it be like, you're going down, like backwards into prelim. I can't remember how they phrased it, but it obviously worked, whatever they said.
Well, the fact that you don't really remember the conversation shows that it didn't really impact you. So
Yeah.
that shows that it was done very well, doesn't it?
Fair play to them.
Because I think that could be quite a big moment for a dancer when they're almost told that, like, we're entering you into prelim rather than you might have been in championship for a little while. And I think that conversation's a really important one to consider how you are wording it.
Yeah, because I
Um,
will have been in championship since I was about 10, 9 or
yeah,
10. So it'd been, I wasn't new to championships at all. And I sort of done 2 worlds by this point.
yeah.
And then I can't remember that conversation at all. It was a good question, actually.
Yeah.
But I remember the fesh so clearly. It was a really hot day. It was the Seamus and Marie Moore Memorial Festline in London. And I just think, I went in kind of like, well, I'm going to come home with a big silver cup today. And that's
Yeah.
always a nice feeling. I felt confident for the first time in ages of like, I can
Right.
come away with a sash or a trophy today. Or I can go,
Yeah.
rather than going in and being like, well, I'm in London, I'm not going to recall. And
Yeah.
going in defeatist. I kind of went in with a bit of fight in me.
Mhm.
And danced, and then ended up recalling in the championship as well. So then we were like, well, even more happy days. That on its own, like, would have been a big achievement anyway.
Yeah.
And then, won the prelim, which was a nice feeling. I still have the picture somewhere. It was on my keychain for my locker keys in school.
Look.
I do still have that picture somewhere. I'll have to find it.
Yeah, you'll have to share that with
And
us.
then ended up in the top 10 in the championship, which would have been unheard of for me. And I think it's because I definitely went in with a different attitude. I didn't go in defeatist.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, what was the difference then? Because the simple difference is your mindset.
Yeah, I
You haven't
went in
changed anymore.
completely with fight.
Yeah, you haven't changed anymore. You didn't change your routine. Like, it's simply having that different mindset and having that, okay, I know I'm capable, that self-belief that made such a difference.
Yeah.
What about, it's a hard one. How can you facilitate that maybe for a dancer? Or obviously it's lots of conversation. It's lots of behind closed doors mindset work, isn't it? It's consistent mindset work to get your brain into that place without without moving into prelim and doing a prelim. I'm just thinking about how dancers could try to start changing the way they think about things. So what would you say, like, actionably dancers could do, or parents could help dancers do to take that mindset shift without the movement from open
Yeah,
into
I
prelim?
had this conversation actually yesterday with a dancer
Mhm.
who has been in championship for a year and a half, maybe, is preparing for her second world championships at the moment, and is worked really, really hard working dancer, but doesn't seem to be placing any higher than she was this time last year. She's like,
Mhm.
well, I was fifth at that fest last year and I was fifth this year. I was fourth at
Right.
that fest last year and I was fourth this year.
Right.
And that's really been impacting her because I think she feels very frustrated because she's working so hard and a little bit lost as to, well, I don't know what to do. Like, everyone says work hard and I am working hard, so I don't really know where else to go from this. And it was a really interesting conversation we had. And what we've decided between the two of us is
Mhm.
to take the emphasis and the pressure off the local fashions that she does a lot of. And
Yeah.
can we look at how is your technique improved in that time? Because if you look at the competition, the top three could be top three of the world, and yet you might still be fourth next year as you were this year, but you could be
Mm.
closer to that stage than you were this time last year. There might have been a massive gap between third and fourth, and this year it's
Yeah,
a little bit closer. Is your
and
technique, is that constantly improving rather than, well, I've got a fourth place sash again?
mm. And
That's
again,
the difference.
that comes down to we're looking at something that is constantly changing. The people that attended the fest might be different. The flooring might be like, there's so many different things that can impact your placing. Your performance is the consistent thing, and that's what you need to track, and we always say that, isn't it? Like, looking at that, like you said, what's the difference in your technique? What's the difference in your mindset? What's the difference in your routine? What's the difference in your relationship with mom or your fesh team on that day? Seeing the progress in you and your performance and your day rather than comparing, like you said, the top 3 this year might be the top 3 in the world, and then you. The top 3 last year might have been the top 3 in your region.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a big difference in that. Coming 4th to top 3 in the world, then coming 4th to just, like, some of the dancers in your region. That's 2 completely different things, but
Exactly.
as a dancer, we often just see the place, and that's what I always say, and that's why we have our Fesh tracker, which I'll pop the link in the show notes for. It's £7. It's a sheet you can work through at the end of every fesh, and it just means you're actually considering your performance, your
Yeah.
progress within your performance rather than the result, because the result is such a big picture that we're not fully in
100%.
control of and can be impacted by so many external factors.
Yeah, and that's kind of where majors, are really helpful because
Mm.
the difference, as you say, you could have top three at the world at a local vesh and
Yeah.
you'd be fourth. But if you look at the difference, there could be 20 odd people in between them places if you go to a major. So if you go into a major and go, well, I did 4 majors last year and I got 2 recalls. So if I get 3 recalls this time, or I was in the 20s and now I'm in like 21, 22.
They're
Or
a bit
I'm
more
I've hit the
consistent, aren't
teens
they? Yeah.
or something like that. You're showing that moving up, um,
Mhm.
but not in such, putting so much pressure and emphasis on every little local vesh.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the mistakes I was making if I look back at my story. Every
Yeah.
single local vesh had held so much importance that when they were going to plan was just knocking me further and further down, confidence
And
wise.
it's looking for the result rather than looking for the progress, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I think that
100%.
is the key here, and as a parent, even if your dancer is 14, 15, and seems independent, you need to be having these conversations on the way home. Okay, but what did you do better than last time? What are 3 things you think you did well today that you will do again? These are the conversations we have with dancers
All the
when we come
time.
onto calls, when we come onto our one-to-ones with them, or in the Gold Club, when we have these sessions when we're trying to help them to think for themselves in a better way as progression rather than just putting themselves down. Well, I didn't do as well as last time. And it ends there. Whereas, like, okay, why? Is there something you did differently? What did you do well? And just finding that for them and helping them to find it for themselves.
Yeah, it's that,
Um,
I always talk about it, it's that being curious.
yeah.
Like,
And it's
the power of curiosity is often overlooked.
And it's so important, isn't it? It's such a simple thing, but it's so important just to have those conversations, and you have the time to have it on the way home, usually from the competition. And it's a perfect space to, like, okay, the first thing we do when we get in the car is a little debrief. We go through these questions that might be the ones from the Fesh tracker. But yeah, it's really important to have that as part of your routine, I think.
Yeah,
And
100%. And then just having somewhere to write them down as well and keep note of them. Because you might
yeah,
have these conversations and then the next day forget about it. And then you'll
well,
continue to make the same mistakes over and over. And that's why if you've got the Fesh tracker, whether it's all in one place or a dance notebook or whatever, and remind yourself of them. Like,
yeah.
you need to learn from them rather than just, oh, I'll just answer mum's question and then she'll shut up kind of
And
thing. Like,
again, the long term of this for dancers that I work with, so I've worked with some dancers, like, yeah, for years doing one-to-ones, and I say, I go, "Okay, well, where did you get last year?" Or, "How did you do last year?" And they say, "Oh, I came 6th." I'm like, "Yeah, but how did you dance? You don't remember how you danced last year at the you don't remember how you danced. You remember the result."
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you then could go back, and I usually have it written on my notes, I then flick back and say, "Yeah, but you did trip over in your heavy jig." "Oh, yeah, I forgot about that." So, like, it's that knowing the details of the day are so much more important than knowing the result and the way you came on the day,
Yeah,
because
like
the details of the day are actually the part that highlight your progress or not.
yeah, and lots of things impact. Oh yeah, this week, this time last year, I had loads of exams in school, or I'd just come back from an injury, or taking note of all them external factors, because them external factors matter. They impact your mindset and they impact your physical dancing on the day too.
Yeah, exactly. So very, very important. In terms then of your story and, like, for parents listening and they see their dancers' confidence dropping, obviously, or yeah, they're dreading every competition, or you can see that each time they're not getting maybe what they wanted, that it gets knocked down. Um, like we've said, prelim may be an idea, or it might be a conversation to open up with the teacher or with the dancer. Then the other kind of action steps to try and help them to build that confidence are maybe working through a fast tracker. Start there, maybe.
Yeah.
And then if that doesn't develop and help them, then maybe consider the prelim. Is there any other ways you think that a parent could help to boost that confidence other than maybe like the things that we've already mentioned?
Um, I think it's just generally as a whole FESH team taking the importance away from, the result and putting it back on your actions and, your belief and all that. Sometimes for
Yeah.
some people it is good to take a bit of a break from FESHs and
Mhm.
regroup, which
Mhm.
is what my teacher originally tried.
Yeah.
Let's regroup, let's take some time away, you know, let's change your look. So I had a brand new dress. It was a gorgeous dress, actually. It was beautiful.
Okay.
And like, can we give her confidence that way by changing her appearance? We've gone and like got all brand new makeup, and all them
Mhm.
things. For some people, that will really work. For other people, it's not so good to take time away from fashions and make them worse. It's
Yeah.
all down on, you're going to know your dancer. And if
Very
they are
individual, isn't
slightly
it?
older, then like invite them into that conversation. Ask
Yeah.
them what do they think as well
Yeah.
about the same point. But I definitely think prelim as a level is such a perfect place to really nail your basics, to
Yeah.
really get them basics, because they're what stand out when we get to open as well. Like, everyone will have decent basics by the time they get into open, but those that have really spent time thinking about them and, doing external things like, move with Meg and stuff like that to like work on their turnout and their crossover, you know,
And their mindset.
and their
It gets
mindset, like, and your
facilitates.
performance. I think that's another
Yeah.
big thing as well when you move from intermediate into prelim is then people start talking about your performance and everyone's like, "What?" It's not really
Uh-huh.
something that's mentioned in a grade tour.
Yeah.
But then performance skills come into play, especially if we're going on big stages. And
Yeah.
that's another skill you've got to learn.
Yeah.
Use that time to just like learn. I think it's your learning stage. I
Yeah.
think people
Yeah.
think your grades are your learning stage, but
Yeah.
actually I think prelim is your learning stage.
Oh,
And
your grades are very much your learning stage physically. And I think, like you've really highlighted there's 3 key things that have to come together, and they are facilitated through prelim, and that is the movement, so the good basics coming together with the mindset work, coming together with the performance elements,
yeah.
and it is the experience of being on those bigger stages that helps you develop and practice that performance side of things. It is the confidence boosting element of working your way up the prelim, winning trophies at that level, being on the podium on the big stage, let's say that might have been a world stage at some point, that helps to boost that confidence. But if you're not doing the essential background mindset work consistently, like your weekly mindset classes in the Gold Club, like they are so vital. Like that roadmap that you spoke about, how incredible that is, putting that into place. And a lot of parents are whizzing around, running to dance class, trying to do a full-time job, trying to also get schoolwork done.
Yeah.
They don't have the time in their day, and I am new to this world of being a
say,
secretary and learning, and that's half the time I'm like, "Whoa, how do parents have time to think of anything?" Bear in mind, we'd just done an Easter bonnet at the weekend, and I was like, "Rah, let's throw things on here quickly because we've got 1 hour to get it done, and I'll do the glue and you do the" like, sometimes things are a rush and you don't have the time and space, so, like, allow us to help you with that. Allow us to help build your dancer's confidence. Um, but I think, yeah, it's a very important time, that prelim, to develop those 3 key areas that will then help you to do well when you do reach that next level
Yeah,
at
because I think
open.
if you rush through prelim, and sometimes that does happen, dancers do sometimes, rare, but can go in and win out of it quite quickly. I think the
Mhm.
shock then of open is
Yeah,
so much bigger. You're actually
yeah,
better spending more time in prelim,
yeah,
getting them 3 skills, boosting that confidence, working your way up, enjoying that time, and then you're so much more prepared for when
yeah,
you do eventually get to open, rather than
yeah,
trying to rush your way through it.
yeah. So I suppose that the 4 key things that we're saying here that you should be focusing on as a dancer, or you should be helping your dancer to focus on as a parent while they're in prelim, are: number 1, setting prelim specific goals, not just to get out, but to master technique, to be consistent, to show their performance and improve it, to be working consistently on their mindset, all of those things. So set prelim specific goals that aren't about placement and getting out of prelim, that are about you and your performance. And I think the Fesh tracker, like I said, £7, link in the show notes. It's a downloadable sheet. You can print out a good few of them, pop them in a folder. There you go. There's your dancer's little Bible, basically,
Yeah.
for seeing their progress. Track your growth. Links nicely into that. We always talk about progress photos and videos, journaling, but also tracking within that Fesh tracker. Really vital. It asks really key questions. How did you dance? What did you do well? What didn't go so great? So you're constantly learning your perfect Fesh routine and developing that. Celebrate small wins. So a cleaner round, better comments maybe from the judges, or
Use the
feeling
stage
more
better.
confident.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
another big thing, going from the grades hall into prelim. They're normally on small stage, like small floors. Then
yeah,
suddenly, you're going on to championship stages and, big stages at majors. Like, learning how to navigate that is a
yeah.
big step on its own.
Yeah, and celebrating that though,
Yeah.
actually, like, setting those as goals, like, "Okay, this week I just wanna feel more confident," or, "This week I just wanna really nail my Fesh warm up,"
Or I
and,
wanna
like,
this week I wanna perform better than I
yeah,
did last
and
week.
celebrating those with your Fesh team. So, again, that parents, this might be the thing that you're like, "I'm really proud of you today," and make a big thing out of the change that you've seen or the progress that you have seen. So making sure that you are celebrating those helps to make this an enjoyable experience. And then number 4 is building that mental resilience now. Like we said, it's the best time to start learning and implementing mindset tools while you're in a less pressured sort of area of
Environment, yeah.
competition, that you're way more open to learning, starting to practice and trying new things without it really impacting, and sort of perfecting that Fesh routine and that your daily sort of thing.
Yeah, the more you
Um,
learn at this stage, the easier the next stage is gonna be for you,
yeah.
the more you learn about yourself, and be prelim and proud. Like, I'm gonna make that a hashtag when this comes out.
I'm proud. Yes, I like it. So, I suppose whether you're in prelim or pre-open, or you've just moved up to open and you feel like you're drowning, it's overwhelming, we've got you. This is vital. Listen to this again if you need to. It might be something you as a parent have listened to and you think, "Ah, gonna make my dancer listen to that," or you as a teacher have listened to, and that there's dancers pinging it in your brain like, "Oh, I know who needs to listen to that." Or if you're a prelim dancer and you know another prelim dancer or pre-open dancer that also needs to listen to this, send it over to them. Let's share this prelim and proud. I think it's a really nice message that lots of dancers will be dying to hear, craving, needing to hear. And of course, if you're a parent who wants to support your dancer through this with kindness instead of pressure, or if you're a parent that wasn't a dancer, has no idea, or the opposite. Sometimes knowing too little or knowing too much can both be detrimental.
Yeah.
Come and join us in that free Facebook group. It's really, honestly, it's really, we love it. It's really heartwarming, isn't it, seeing that? And finally, if you're a dancer that is ready to do something and take action this week, why not join our goal club? You have mindset work in there every single week. We have goal setting every single month. We are working on your body, your specific corrections, and taking those progress pictures, seeing that progress will fill you with confidence while you're in prelim. Like we said, do this foundational work now, build that consistency. This is where you build it. And then when you do hit open, you'll have all of the tools that you need to make sure that it's not overwhelming and that you enjoy the experience.
100%.
Anything more to add?
No, as well, just like about joining the Gold Club there, like I think as well, like in the community, there's so many prelim dancers in there. I think you'll be quite shocked. Some people will just be like, we're not just here for those that are in open. Like we're here for everyone, grades, great dancers, prelim dancers, open dancers. There's so many other people in the same situation as you. Like, let's go and make friends. Like,
yeah, and all. Friends from across the globe.
Literally across the globe.
That we love. We love seeing like US dancers then messaging dancers in the UK or in Ireland. It's so nice. And we've got a couple in Europe as well that love that community element that they might not have as much because of where they're situated. It helps you to feel a lot more part of the Irish dance community as a whole. And we are a positive platform that is safe for dancers. We have our own app. So if you've got younger dancers with an iPad maybe or a tablet, then the app is a really great way for them to have a safe community to be a part of, to build their confidence and to be working maybe when you are doing something else that you know that they're doing something positive. I think that's one of our key things with the Gold Club.
Yeah.
So with that said, thank you for listening to this episode of Mindset Matters.
Thank you.
And remember, your journey is yours. It doesn't need to look like anybody else's. Just be you. Do what's best for you. Do what's best for your dancer. And remember, we are always here to help.
Always.
So, before you go, make sure you like and subscribe if you're listening to this on any of the platforms like Spotify or Apple, for example. And of course, share it with your friends on your social medias and let us know your biggest takeaways. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back with another episode very soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Meg Talks. Don't forget to share your favourite parts of the episode and tag us on Instagram at movewithmeg with 2 Gs. And as a special treat, head to movewithmeg.co.uk/Fesh Day Warmup to access your free video. See you next time.